I too have spent the day here, and I'm fighting a terrible cold, so please bear with me.
Oh.
And there
And
were a
you're
number of
stuck here, I'm
neighbors
sorry.
who wanted to come, and they couldn't make it. We've been keeping them up to speed all day on where we're at, and they were unable to come due to childcare and other items.
And sorry, your name, ma'am?
Linda McIver.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Just for context, Edgemont's 23% of the population is below 19 years old. 63% of our population is between the ages of 20 to 64. And we're almost 16,000 number of people. The Fraser Institute ranks our Winston Churchill School as the #1 public school in Alberta in terms of their academic standing. There's only, I think, 4 that are private schools that are higher. And that segues into the values and the fiber of this community. We value education. We value neighbors. We value looking out for each other. I'm going to read some of what I sent, saying I'm writing to you with the hope that you will not allow the rezoning. We're a neighborhood that has been zoned as R1, and that's why I moved to this neighborhood in 1997. We've been paying taxes all these years that reflect that zoning. We're a street and a community that values family and education. We've lived on this street and community watching our own and our neighbors' children grow up together, watching out for each other, and now watching all of them turn into wonderful citizens of Calgary as they complete their final years of university, technical schools, etc. We have a lovely, diverse, vibrant street and community. Our street welcomes people that are renters. In fact, over the last 9 years, our next-door neighbors have been a variety of families that have rented from a number of different places, Australia and England, to name a few. We feel if we change the zoning, it will change the complexion of our street and our community. It's already been mentioned about the playground that was grassed over, so I won't get into that in terms of one of the key pieces. I will jump now to parking, and I'd love that picture up there of this house. A good picture, please. What's important that I think all of you need to know is and we live just a few houses down. This backs on to green space. I understood that there's restrictive covenants for green space in the city, that when you back onto green space without a back alley, that you have to have things like chain link fence for aesthetic reasons. So again, there's no back alley. We need to look at that. Did anybody do a drive-by and find that out? Do you have the picture of that? Yeah. So as far as parking, again, no back alley, so all the parking has to come onto the street. Currently, that is a case, when I said of all those children that are also becoming teens and driving, we already, with our own people having 2 cars and 3 cars and 4 cars, have enough parking. We don't need the basements now filled with parking and having that parking. And I heard today that it slows down when you've got more parked cars. But guess what? The playground isn't that great anymore, so the kids now play out in the road, which is great. That's very Canadian to play hockey out there. But guess what? How many people get run over coming from behind mega parked cars, like rows and rows of parked cars? So we don't want to have that. It's unfortunate that they don't have a picture of the back. I guess planning didn't see fit to get one of those. It's imperative that you know this is backing onto green space. And when I read the secondary data, I know you just came up on the previous one or two. I'm sorry, I'm foggy because of the cold. But when I read the data in what was required for a secondary suite, it did say that you need to have recreational space designated to that space. So meaning the person that lives in the basement has to have somewhat of a backyard, and then you share it. So again, I asked the question of the green space that all of us are supposed to be enjoying is now going to be somehow reconstructed to divide it into 2 families? Is that the plan for that? And I know the gentleman just hit the button to remind me that I'm running out of time. If you have the hook for me.
25 seconds.
Okay. At any rate, as I said, the other thing is I know for a fact, because they CC'd me on numbers that went to the city, as well as to yourself, Mayor, as well as to our councillor. So the numbers that summarized who complained and who didn't don't seem to be in jive with what I've personally received, because they would send them to the clerk and then say CC. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for listening.
Okay, I can't resist. So someone who lives in a basement doesn't value education and should not go to a good school? Is that what you actually said?
I didn't say that, and I
What was your
apologize.
point in saying that the schools are really good and your neighborhood values education? What in the world does that have to do with the secondary school?
Thank you for bringing that up, because you reminded me of the things I forgot to mention.
Mm-hmm.
There's a condo that you can walk to that's easier walking distance than the previous ladies' hospitals. There's a condo development that's always renting one way and the other. That
Again, my question was, specifically, why did you find it necessary to say the schools are good and we value education? What in the world does that have to do with this application?
Well, in my opinion, it suggests the fabric of the community, that the community pulls together, they look out for each other, and they care about each other's upbringing, and they care about each other. And education is a component of that. If you look at a value structure, that's a key piece.
So you're suggesting that allowing people to move into the neighborhood who might be renting
No, I
a
didn't say
basement
that.
suite would never share that same value structure? Is that
I
your
didn't
argument?
say that, and there's nothing that
what's your
segues the
point?
argument to that.
What is your point then?
In fact, I think I said, and again, I have a cold, so it's foggy, that we have renters in our community already that rent an entire home next to us and have for many years. And in fact, people visit them in their countries that they've gone back to after sort of a 3-year contract. So I had nothing of I said, in fact, the opposite to what you're describing.
So
No issue with a
again, what is your
renter, just-
objection? I'm just trying to understand your objection.
My objection is the rezoning of our neighborhood. The
But again,
rezoning
what
of
does that have
this.
to do with the values of your community? I honestly don't understand. I'm not badgering you. I really don't understand what you
I
mean.
feel like I'm being badgered by you, to be honest. I'm a little under the weather, so I'm not as clear-headed. I've been here all day. So I'd love to have this conversation when my head's not as foggy. But I feel like you're berating me for my views. And what I'm
I'm
saying...
not. I'm just trying to ask you to clarify them. And you've suggested that you didn't say what I thought you said, so that's good. But I still don't understand what the quality of the schools being high has to do with opposition to this particular application.
I think you're
my
taking
niece
the
lives just
argument to
down
a
the street.
place it
She's going to
doesn't
go
need
to
to
Sir
go.
Winston. She goes to Tom Baines. She's going to go to Sir Winston. They are.
I'm sorry?
My niece lives down the street from you. She's going to go. She goes to Tom Baines. She's going to go to Sir Winston. They are terrific schools, and I'm thrilled that she's going there. But I just don't understand what that has to do with this application.
I think you've taken it to a place it doesn't need to go. I'd love to reiterate the key points. Let's talk about the parking that seems...
No, you don't need
There's
to.
no
That's fine. Thank
back
you.
alley.
Thank you. Councillor
And
Farrell?
as I said, on a clear day with a clear
That's
head...
fine. Thank you. Councillor Farrell?
Excuse me, I do have a question. The previous speaker brought it up as well. I'm just wondering, the playground being grassed over and the playground equipment being removed. I'm also not clear how that relates to this application. Could you?
I think it speaks to what the current council is taking some of the important values for our neighborhood away from us. For example, one of the key reasons we moved into that was that play structure. I remember the real estate agent saying, can you see that? You know, and this would be a great place for them as they get, you know, as the toddlers wander down and have some independence. And I think that might segue into his response of, as you build strong citizens and they're independent and they're competent and they felt like they can count on the neighbors and knock on their doors and have that kind of feeling,
I
they
think
tend to become stronger contributors. It's been proven.
And I don't see that related in any way to the suite. My suggestion, though, is when playground equipment is aging, often the community can apply for new playground equipment. So maybe you can work
So I
with your
don't know how
town.
that got missed. Is that your question?
No, I'm just suggesting, it's obviously concerned to both you and the previous speaker that you've lost your playground equipment. There are ways to apply for new playground equipment. So you may want to work with your area councillor on that. It's
Sure,
not
but
related.
I think we're taking it off the immediate issue.
Well, that I don't think is related to the suite at all. But thank you.
The redirection on the note at the time was to take them 4 kilometers down to what was called the skate park to play, which again to me speaks to the values. And I see that Mr. Woolley has got some faces that he doesn't seem, he's directing to me too as well. So at any rate, what I'm saying is the values, when you bring children up, when you're bringing up your children, you don't want to have to take them 4 kilometers to a playground.
Did you get engaged with your community association at that time on that playground issue?
I personally did not know.
How would the
There was
city
a sandwich board.
Did you call the city? Did you call 311 so
I
we
did.
understood your concerns?
Yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Hope you get over the cold.
thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak in opposition to this one? Anyone else in opposition? Come on up.